Our speaker today is a longtime member of our church, and she is so cherished by everyone in this room, outside this room. Anyone, to know her is to love her. She is seriously, she is an inspiration with just her overall attitude about life, and she's a great example for all of us. And we're always so excited when she can speak and come here and join us in person. So I want to introduce Joyce with a choice.
Joyce.
Reverend Joyce Zorger.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. That was the message for today. I'll take it anytime. And the music. It reminds me of my camping days out in the desert, the songs, and out in Baja, Mexico, down in Punta Bunda. We used to camp on the beach down there with all our we had 9 little kids running all around. We'd go with other couples. It was, taking time to be out in nature is such a blessing to all of us. And to remember that, I came from Feather Ranch, which has been 100 degrees. The temperature's been really hot out there. So I'm dressed for the heat, but it's nice here. I might stay here all day. Anyway, I was at a Silmar for a whole week. I went there for it was a religious science retreat. And it wasn't a meditation all the time. We had a lot of workshops and things. And Karen Drucker was there, and I just love her singing. And she joined us in the last couple of days. And an interesting thing, this month's science guide for spiritual living, Science of Mind, is about Ernest Holmes at a Silmar, and at the cover. And I like what he had to say, or not what he had to say, but what Eric Butterworth had to say. And it's called The Law of Circulation. This was for yesterday, Saturday. And in my spiritual practice, I read the daily word, the daily guide, and anything else I can get a hold of to help me to restore and to just be grateful for having this spiritual experience, spiritual practice that leads to spiritual experiences. And truly, it just... I'm just so happy to be here. I feel like every day is a blessing. And some days my dogs don't think it's a blessing. I have issues with them, and the wild pigs and the wild turkeys and the squirrels. I've pretty much conquered the ground squirrels for now. But anyway, the woodpeckers are taken over. But anyway, I wanted to read this Law of Circulation. This is from Eric Butterworth, and this is what our wonderful teacher, Dr. Rita has been teaching. We started our class last Wednesday, and I'm loving it already. But this is the Law of Circulation from Eric Butterworth. The goal should not be to make money or acquire things, but to achieve the consciousness through which the substance will flow forth when and as you need it. And we talked about certain words that were powerful to us, and the word substance has always been powerful to me, because that is the undifferentiated a creative energy that we each have, that is within each one of us, that we are blessed with and we move through life with as we allow to be aware of it. So of course, the theme for this month is prosperity. And I did a talk back in 2009, and I used Eric Butterworth's Spiritual Economics, the prosperity process. And I love that book, and I tried to find it because we are required to read that book in our class that Rita's teaching. And along with many other books, I had to move all my books upstairs due to the January storm, the flooding in January. I'm still recovering from that, but I want to tell you, Rita, the day we talked on Wednesday, and very next day, I went to my checking account, and there was a deposit in my checking account from FEMA for disaster relief. And I thought, wow, I'm going to continue. This is great news. And I thank you, God. And I just had tears in my eyes at how Spirit works in my life. And I can't tell you how grateful I am, and just to connect with that source, that creative energy that we each are blessed with, and knowing, but we have to know, we have to connect with it, we have to be aware of it. I like, I've always liked Eric Butterworth. He was the the brother-in-law of a very good friend of mine. And she used to talk about him. We rode horses together. And this was, this was way back when I rode horses. It was back many, many years ago. But she used to talk about, her name was Betty Butterworth, and of course she was married to Eric's brother, and it was just kind of an interesting connection there. And I've always had a feeling that I've known Eric most of my life, even though I love what he has to say. It says that he was born. I was reading about him, and he was born in 1916, and I remember too reading that he established 3 powerful unity ministries, and he was senior minister of the United Center of New York City from 1961 until his peaceful transition in 2003 at the age of 87. So a long, long time he was minister there. I like what he had to say. He was 86 years old, and he was quoted as saying, "My age is none of my business. I am as old as God and as young as the morning." And it reminded me of my mother, because she never liked anyone to know how old she was. And she would always say, "I'm as old as my big toe." And she was quite a character. But that reminds me, I wanted to share with you last week, Timber was an amazing speaker, and he came in, and I was behind him, and he was walking in on something to help stabilize his right leg, because he broke his foot. And I thought, oh, that must be so painful. And he talked through the whole time, and he stood the whole time. And I'm standing the whole time, but I have comfortable shoes. I broke my toe last Sunday when I left here. I went to Miners, Ace Minor. I had to get I bought 40 pounds of birdseed. They had birdseed on sale. I had 2 big bags of birdseed in this rickety old basket that was so out of control. And then I bought a leaf blower that was heavy too. And I'm pushing this thing around, and it ran over my toe, and I had sandals on. So, and then last night I was trying to find shoes that would be comfortable for me to wear today. And my toe ran into a pair of boots, and it's hurting too. But now I'm feeling okay. I'm standing okay, and I don't need to sit. And I'm standing and being here now, and being grateful for the pain is gone. I don't feel the pain. I did when I woke up, but I don't feel it now. It must be your wonderful, loving, creative energy that I'm feeling. Okay, I can easily get off track with my talks. I'm talking about my toe. I said to my friend, I says, the little piggy that went to, I used to tell my girls, this little piggy went to the market, this little piggy stayed home, all of this. And the little piggy went wee all the way home. That's the one that I broke, the one that went wee all the way home. So, but it's getting better all the time. Sorry about that. I transition back to when I was. Okay, so I'm getting back to this. I wrote a lot of things about Eric Butterworth, and so much so that I have brought something for you. I'm going to remember to put this on the table in there. It's Eric Butterworth's quotes, and he has some amazing quotes. And then he has a wonderful, it's called a logo, an Eric Butterworth logo, and I clipped it to the quotes. So I want to make sure, Rita, I make sure you get a copy of this. I only made 12 copies, but if I need more, I can bring more next week. So this is this. Don't let me forget this. So anyway, where am I? Back to my talk. I like the fact that Charles Fillmore believed and taught that when we establish ourselves in the consciousness of God, the whole universe moves to flow into us with its abundance of life and substance. I like that word substance, because that is that, talk about an undifferentiated substance into form. That Ernest Holmes said, he was the founder of religious science, and he tells us prosperity is the outpicturing of substance in our affairs. Thought is the creative energy that shapes undifferentiated substance into form. I'll read that again. Prosperity is the outpicturing of substance in our affairs. Thought is the creative energy that shapes undifferentiated substance into form. So our thoughts are like a mole, if you will. And we must not allow prosperity consciousness that allow poverty consciousness force us into the mold of lack and limitation. I think that's have that in your mind. When I see something that's I feel it might be negative or limits my growth, whatever, my prosperity, I say cancel, cancel. That is not the truth of who I am. Cancel, cancel. Right? If you, because my thoughts, like all of our thoughts, we have to uh, acknowledge them or control them somehow. And by saying the words that eliminate the thoughts, this helps. It helps me. Cancel, cancel. This is not the truth of who I am. I like what substance is defined as the most important or essential part of something, the real or essential meaning. The real or essential meaning is the substance. This is what Ernest Holmes had to say: the formless back of all forms, the primordial substance is the ultimate formless stuff from which all things come. Can you wrap your mind around that whole, it's that thought that it's so creative. We are so creative in our thinking. We can create the negative thoughts of fear and worry will deplete our good faster than inflation erodes the value of a dollar. That's why I used to be very informed news-wise, but I find myself pulling back from that, especially during the flooding and the devastation of my ranch and having to put things together. I just didn't need, and then the death of my husband John last year, I just didn't need any more negativity in my life. So I started to not, it's just, I don't think I'm very informed these days, and I feel badly because we're having an election, next year, 2024, and I kind of almost dread that time because of all that went on the last time. But anyway, back to what I was sharing. I like what he has to say here. A lot of these are quotes that I've taken from Eric Butterworth. Economists agree that business conditions always tend to reflect the level of confidence of the people. Things may happen around you, things may happen to you, but the only thing that really count are the things that happen within you. Teresa, you know who quote, was it Eric Butterworth that said that? Because I've read that before, and that's a powerful expression. And failure and lack are the result of continuously minusing ourselves. Success and prosperity are the result of constantly plussing ourselves. And when we take an inventory of ourselves, you have to ask, am I dealing in minuses or plussing? What am I thinking? How am I supporting myself? Right now, my major focus on supporting myself is the aging process and knowing that I can keep moving forward in life and not to make excuses for who I am or what I'm able to do. I keep doing what I've always been able to do, but doing it more carefully, because I feel like my balance is not quite the way it used to be, and my property is totally, it's not the way it used to be either. It's very hilly and lots of ruts and stuff, and when I walk on my property, it's really a challenge. In fact, with my broken toe, I've been riding my mule, which is not a real mule. It's a ATV called the Kawasaki mule, and I ride that on my property, and my dogs, one at a time, run and exercise, and I do that, and I'm happy that I can do that. I have the vehicle to help me continue to exercise my dogs, because they certainly need it. Okay, so I like what this says. I like what I wrote. I really do. I'm going to say this. It says, we are God's living enterprise. God is not someone to reach for somewhere out in space. We are God in action, created in his image and likeness. I remind myself that. At times we forget who we really are. And I like in the parable of the prodigal son, Meister Eckhart, and you all heard of him, he said, the prodigal is in the far country, but the father is at home. The Father is the reality of who we are and is always at the center of our being, beckoning to us to know who we are. And the word beckon is akin to beacon, a beacon of light, beckon, a beacon of light. we are all that beacon of light. Oh my gosh, I look around this room and I see so many beacons of light, and I just connect with you, and I love being here. And sometimes I just, I make it harder on myself, feeling that I have to compete with other people that talk. We have such wonderful speakers here, and I think, how could I ever match up to that? But we have to not. If I do that, I can either become very vain or very bitter. I can't compare myself. We need to know. Don't compare to anyone else. Be yourself. There's no one else that can be you. And I remind myself of that. So I'm doing that now. So anyway, but here are some of the Eric Butterworth's quotes on prosperity. Prosperity is not just about having things, it is about having the consciousness that attracts those things. And that's why I called my talk the prosperity consciousness. It's all about our consciousness, and our consciousness is that connection that we have to that power within us, that light that we shine forth when we allow it to be. And the song, the release and let go, and let the Spirit run your life. This is all so true. We listen to these words and we know that they are very valuable in our lives. It says, and he also said, prosperity is not so much a condition in life, it is an attitude toward life. Not a condition, but an attitude toward life. Prosperity is a spiritual well-being, and it involves the whole experience of a healing life, satisfying love, abiding peace, and harmony. Again, don't forget to pick up copies of these Eric Butterworth quotes, because there are so many of them that I copied down. So we see things not as they are, but as we are. Our perception is shaped according to our previous experiences, according to our faith, according to where we are in consciousness. And faith is consciousness centered in universal source. I like that word source. Source, that source is that power, that energy. I think of God as energy. That's my impression of God. I had an interesting conversation with my oldest daughter, Lori. She lives in Colorado, and she's an evangelical Christian, and I have to be careful the conversations that we have, because I just want to allow her to be her and have her beliefs, and have her allow me to have my beliefs, and not to get into conflict about it. But it ended up in a sad way, because then she started ranting about her sister, and they used to be the very best of friends, but there's been conflict during the political world a couple of years ago, and also her stand where she stands, and she considers her sister evil. And to me, it upset me so much that I said, Lori, I can't go on with this conversation. I have to hang up now. And I've never done that before, but it affected me to the point I felt my blood pressure rising. And I think we all really have to watch what we are able to take in, and when we're not able to do that, and we have to put a stop to it. I think that's what the lesson I learned from this. So anyway, I know that we'll have a lot more conversations that maybe can be more accepting of each other, because I love her. She's the oldest daughter. I have 3 daughters, and they are all wonderful daughters. They bless my life so much. Okay, so here I am talking about consciousness, and knowing that I always have lessons to learn. I was given that lesson while I was writing. I had planned to work on my talk on that morning that she called, and then I couldn't do what I needed to do that day, and my mind was too scattered, and it was too. It wasn't in a mode of allowing the words that were spoken to be said and released. I couldn't release the words, and that's what that lesson for that day was. I need to practice practice what I preach, right? But we all do. We all have times when we have to be reminded of the power that is always present. And so I found that day I did a lot of quiet introspection, and that helped me get through the day. I didn't call her back, but I didn't hang up on her. It was agreed upon that we needed to end the conversation. I didn't just slam the phone down. It was a release. It was a release, and I let go. And I know that we'll continue and talk about this at another time. So we're talking about the universe as being a user I like that, a user-friendly place. It gives back to us what we put into it. Negativity is like a boomerang. It finds its way back home. If we use this negativity, and fear is one of those things that we really have to get a handle on. I know especially when we listen to news, because they want to get your attention, and this is something that we have to be aware of. I'm sure you're all aware of that, because it's something that we need to be informed, but at the same time not fall into a place of fear around it. And perhaps a time for prayer when we hear anything that's fearful or happening in the world. Surround that with love and light and energy and creativity to know what to do and how to do it and move through it. Um, so I wrote down, you and I are right in this moment as spiritual as we'll ever be. As we increase our awareness of our true nature, we will in turn increase our flow of substance. Prosperity comes from consciousness, which unfolds from within. It's that consciousness that the way we think, the way we move through our day, our decisions, our choices. And that's why I like my name, Joyce with a choice, because it reminds me I'm always at choice. I can choose to get drawn into a negative conversation and be upset about it for the rest of the day, or I can choose to let it go, let it be. I almost called my talk, because I talk to my dogs, and my dogs are drop it, leave it. And those are where I can do that. I can drop it. I can leave it. I don't have to continue to hold on to something that's not a positive, something that is a blessing. And I want to have positive blessings. I don't need that negativity. I need to drop it. I need to leave it, as I tell my dogs. And they do listen to me. And so I need to listen to me as well. Yeah, they are such characters. Anyway, I love them so much. I wish they could go out together. They can't. They take off together. They're hunting dogs, and they pick up a scent or a sound, and they are off. And I have not had very much sleep the last few nights, because my dogs wake up at night and hear sounds, and they heard yip, 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 a bunch of coyotes up the back hill, right up in the hill behind my house. And they wanted to get out there and investigate, and I wouldn't let them. And they were very upset with me. They were barking. And then the next night, there was a mountain lion skirting around the area and making roaring noises, I guess to attract a mate, because they have a 25 square miles of territory, and they can cover a lot of area. But the dogs hear it, and they want to get out and find that mountain lion. And of course, I won't let them do that. Those puppies of mine, they're 6 years old. I've talked about them so much over the last years. I can't believe they're going to be 6 years old in December. I should have a birthday party and have you all come out and celebrate. Okay, so I talk about Jesus clearly said that we can do all that he did if we can believe, if we can center ourselves in the creative flow, in the divine throw. I think I like this, and this is something when I was doing my reading again in Eric Butterworth's book Prosperity, about the rheostat. You'll read that in the next couple of chapters. He talks about a rheostat on a light switch. It's a rheostat is a variable resistor. I didn't know that before, but now I know. When you turn the rheostat up, you get more light. And when you turn it down, the power flowing through the bulb is reduced, which results in less light. The power is present at all times, whether the rheostat is high or low. A turned down rheostat is like consciousness or of lack that restricts the flow of substance, and that is the energy, if you will, that power. The turned up rheostat is like a faith centering, which opens the way to an experience of affluence or free flow. And in Wikipedia, I looked up the word, and in a free encyclopedia, there's a encyclopedia on it, and on the internet, it refers to a rheostat as a potentiometer. Potentiometer is a rheostat. And I got excited when I saw this word, because the word potential is in that. And with increased awareness of the light of the presence within, we release our own hidden splendor. I love that. And so we're all potentiometers. We can turn our light up or down in the energy. We can, when we feel less, like I feel today, I'm fighting for the lack of sleep for the last couple of nights between the coyotes and the mountain lion and my dogs. And so, and the heat out there. I'm making excuses, but I do feel less than, and I need to feel the energy. So send me that energy, the intention. Will you send it to me now? Send me that energy and intention. Let me feel that. And breathe into that and just know that God is everywhere present. God is in me, in you, and we connect with that power, that energy that's always present. Give thanks for that now. I give thanks for that. And I'm not done with my talk, but but I can go on, and I have just another page or two. Just another 2 pages. Okay, I'll be quick. What time is it? Oh, it's getting late. Okay, so I'm watching the clock. I have my watch on. This is a big face on this watch. I can see it. I don't need my glasses on it. Okay, so where am I here? Oh, in closing, if I can get unraveled from all this. In closing, we our level of awareness conditions us to see certain things. Seeing is not believing, believing is seeing. And we've heard that before, haven't we? Seeing is not believing, believing is seeing. If we believe in something, we're going to see it. We see things not as they are, but as we are. Our perception is shaped according to our previous experience, according to our faith, according to where we are in that Christ consciousness. Faith is Christ consciousness centered in the universal source. Again, when we are centered in oneness with God's substance, we see through substance-colored glasses. To see abundance everywhere is to turn up the light, which enables us to see allness, even with illness, and all sufficiency, even with lack. So we can see that, we choose to see that, and what seeing is believing, and it'll eventually transform our lives. The Hebrew word for eye is ayin, which means fountain. It suggests a powerful insight. True seeing is a flow of consciousness, flowing like a fountain from within. So our consciousness, just that Christ consciousness is flowing, and it's a light within each one of us. And the Bible, I like this, the Bible tells us it came to pass. We can take this to mean it's not to stay. So in face of challenges, affirm, I accept the reality of the situation, but not its permanence. And one of my biggest challenges was these last few years. And I have told myself that this too shall pass, and it's being passed. And the help that I've gotten from FEMA to help me, the money that I received will help me build maybe a retaining wall in back of my home, because there's more storm coming this winter. They're talking about a El Nino year. So I want that mountain to stay where it is. And I love being there because it's in nature. And if any of you have ever been there, you would feel that beauty of nature, and go wherever you can to feel that sense of nature, that God's beauty is everywhere. Okay, this is something that Henry Thoreau summed it up for me in this quotation. He said from the work that he did, the classic work of Walden, if one advances confidently into the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. These wisdom people that share I read these quotes, and they restore my confidence in who I am and where I'm going today. So this is why I like the quotes of Eric Butterworth, and the class that I'm taking is reminding me again of how synchronicity, how the unity and the science of mind are so compatible. Simpatico is a good word. Italian, is that Italian, or is it Polish? I'm not sure. And the words of Karen Drucker's song, I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. Don't you love those words? I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but you and I can do all the good that we can do. And so we do that. We move through life doing that. And by doing that, we remember ourselves. This is where it begins. We have to do good to ourselves by knowing when we're in a negative place and changing those thoughts. Cancel, cancel. This is not the truth of who I am. So, so what the world needs now is our prosperity consciousness. And that is what I know. And that is the conclusion of my talk. That is my message today. So enjoy life and be that prosperity consciousness wherever you go, and do it and love and be that love. God bless. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want